All
Let's
right.
go.
Stacee, they all want to hear your story here. It's all yours. Tell them how you became such a beautiful lady from being after, but also whatever else it did. It's all yours, Stacee.
All right. Well, I made some notes so I can hopefully summarize it and not talk your head off. But the start of my issues was in 2021. April of 2021, I got 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. Within an hour and a half of my second dose, I became violently ill. When I say violently ill, I became tachycardic. I ended up with this really bad brain fog. I was derealizing. I felt like I was out of my body. I started spitting up blood. Um, by 3 weeks in, I could barely hold my head up because I was so dizzy. My blood pressure was through the roof. I had a constant fever. Um, and then at 90 days, then I deteriorated to the point where I was urinating on myself because I had lost muscle control. I had a bunch of neurological damage. That's why my brain felt so strange within that first hour and a half. So I was urinating on myself, walking with a cane come 90 days. At 120 days, I had a stroke, which obviously gave me a bunch of right side weakness so that I was even more dependent upon my cane. I developed what are called essential tremors. So my hands would shake, my legs would quiver underneath me. I couldn't stand up for more than a couple minutes because I would just pant and couldn't get my breath. That was 120 days in. Fast forward to 12 months in, those symptoms all remained. Nothing improved. I was on multiple medications. I was seeing multiple specialists, including the Cleveland Clinic, which is supposed to be one of the best in the country. To no avail. I was just declining. So at 12 months, I developed a condition called gastroparesis. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it is when your digestive system basically stops working. So when I would try to eat, I would vomit the food up a few days later, completely undigested. I had multiple impacted bowels. I mean, it was just, my body was just deteriorating before my eyes. And this is all while under the care of the best doctors. Um, at 15 months in, that's that picture that you saw. I was covered in lumps and tumors. I had them all under my neck. I had them under my armpits, under my breasts, in my inner thighs, and I was just completely covered in lumps. So I had went to a hematologist for a bone marrow biopsy, and my results weren't good, but because I was overweight when I went to that appointment, the doctor looked at me and said, I'll take these results seriously when you take your weight loss seriously. So that was the last doctor that I saw, and I was preparing to end my life at that point because I couldn't get help and I couldn't get relief. So a couple months after that appointment, I was planning on ending my life a couple months after that. I was going to go through the holidays with my kids and then take my life after that. Um, I saw an injured friend of mine who was also damaged from the shots, and he was using frequency. And he went from not being able to walk and having all these symptoms to a week later, he was jogging with his dog. And I'm like, okay, what is that? So I immediately ordered a machine because I knew that it was either this was going to work or I was going to kill myself. That's just the blunt truth. So my machine showed up the first day that I used it for 15 minutes. I went to bed. I anticipated some of the detox because I was so sick. So the next day I just kind of slept and in between bathroom breaks, but I was going to the bathroom a lot. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So when I did my session that night, I just went straight to bed. I woke up the following day. So we're now like 36 hours, 48 hours maybe since I got my machine. And I woke up the next day and I popped out of bed and I went to the bathroom and I came back to my bed. And then I was like, wait a second, because I hadn't been able to do that in 561 days. I counted every single day because the days were horrible. I was just bedridden, totally sick. And so I sat on the edge of the bed and I kind of like started moving my head around. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not dizzy. I started feeling my pulse. Well, my heart rate is not fast. And so I started taking all my vitals because that's what I did. I weighed myself and I had lost 14 pounds. That's why I was going to the bathroom so much, is because it was getting all that inflammation off of me. And then, yeah, like 80% of the symptoms, because I had them all written down because I documented everything because I wanted people to know what happened to me. And 80% of those symptoms on that list were gone. I wasn't dizzy. My heart rate wasn't fast. I didn't feel short of breath. I felt bright. I felt like I was back in my brain, back in my body. My discolored skin was coming back to life, looking peaked and like it should. There's just so many things. And then, so just to give you an idea of how sick I was, I'll give you some of my diagnoses that I had by day 561. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, polyneuropathy, fibromyalgia, sleep apnea, small fiber neuropathy. I had a specialized blood test done with one of those, pro people I was working with in the country. I was a tenth of a point away from having full blown AIDS on paper because my CD8, CD4 count was all bad. I had tachycardia, I had AFib, gastroparesis, and they also diagnosed me with functional neurological disorder. So after using frequency for the first 2 weeks, all those symptoms went away except for one, which was AFib, and that resolved itself within 12 months. But all of those symptoms that I had, all those diagnoses that I had, all the pain, all of that was gone by 2 weeks in. I didn't have any of those symptoms. By the month 6, my cycle returned back to normal, because that's another thing. I lost my cycle during that when my body was shutting down. My cycle came back at month 6. By month 12, I had no AFib, and the rest is history, as they say. But I do want to make it clear that during my illness, I was seeing 26 doctors, specialists all over the state. I was on multiple medications, dozens of medications, different combinations, all of that. I was also taking the best of the best supplements that you can get. I was also trying fasting, coffee enemas, liver cleanses, you name it, and my body would not budge. It was like frequency is exactly what my body was missing. My blood was so thick when I was sick that it would come out in the tube black. And when they would clunk it, shake it like this to test it, it would clunk in the tube. That's how thick my blood was. So yeah, I had beautiful bright blood because I'd check my sugars and I'd see it come out and I'm like, my blood looks normal. I mean, everything returned back to normal within 12 months. And I couldn't believe it because I was on the road to death.
Wow. You know why? Wow. I say wow, because when I start my testimonial, I think I had a big testimonial. It's not that bad. And you just blew me out of the park there, Stacee.
Yeah, there's lots of facets to it, but if anybody's curious, they can go to my Facebook at Stacee Marie, and you can scroll back. I documented all of my changes as they went along, and it's just been truly incredible. I know for a fact, I could feel it in my body that was what was happening. My body was so starved for oxygen and voltage and all that. It was just dying. I could feel my body decaying, and this frequency is what woke that up for me.
So listen, I'm really blessed that now we get to work together on a closer level, like really in the inner circle with me, you, and Ethan.